Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you, Apple, for putting it on iTunes.
How great is that?
It's so amazing.
I want to talk to you watching this movie, which, by the way, I love. It's, to me, you've talked about it being like Easy Rider. You've talked about it being like a road movie. It also feels to me like Billy Jack. It has that kind of earthy, revenge, ripped out of Hollywood. Hollywood does not exist for this movie. Tell me a little bit about what was in your head when you started out.
The big inspiration for doing this, there's a couple things. One, I was really inspired. I love road movies. I love the road. Easy Rider is definitely one, but Five Easy Pieces, if you've seen it, it's a Jack Nicholson film in the 70s.
That's great. When he goes to the diner.
Yeah, that's one of the best scenes, man.
Has everybody seen
Have
Five
you seen Five
Easy
Easy Pieces?
Pull it back.
Yep. So anyways, it's phenomenal. And the really big inspiration for doing this was the subject matter.
The story itself.
Yeah, and
someone brought it to you, right?
yeah, actually, Robert Mullahan, he's my co-star, and he's the co-writer, one of them, and he told me about these. He had went to a Democratic convention, and he'd heard about the rapes that were happening on the Native American reservations, and that there's a loophole where a non-native can commit a violent act, crime, predominantly rape. And in 2011, when we wrote this piece, it was 86% were non-natives that were reported rapes. That's reported. And those cases get tossed out because it has to go to federal court. And tribal law can't prosecute them. So it's a bit of a loophole for these sick, demented people. And I just thought, being a father and a husband and a son and a grandson, if anyone messed with my mother or my wife or my kids, I'm like, it's over for you. You know what I mean? And like the law didn't take care of it. I mean, what would we do? Predominantly, most men would do that. Most people would do that. But with that, you're going to pay the repercussion. You're going to go to jail. You're going to be on the run, which we find the character at the very beginning on the run, and you're going to die. And I wanted to make a movie that wasn't about revenge or about the act of doing it.
Right.
It was more of
this. It's done. The deed is done before this even starts.
Yeah, it's 6 months later, and it's really about a man saying goodbye to his life. And by doing this choice, he's really doling out his soul on this road to redemption, really. And I wanted to play with the themes of like all the people that inspire you or who have inspired your parents, to filmmakers, to artists, to painters, music. They make up you. And that's what hangs in the air when when you're gone. I wanted to see this man, how big he loves, and the parts of his soul that he's giving away, and how he lives on through other people. And that was one of the themes I wanted to do too. So
and
it's a little comedy, a little drama.
It's heavy and funny.
Rock and roll. There's lots of hair.
There's a lot of hair. There is a lot of hair in this, and there's even a pretty sexy scene where you.
I'm not too bad.
Get rid of your hair, I was going to say.
Come on, honey. Help me sell this fucker.
No. Well, that's one side to it. Got to have sex. So you had, with Cash, she had like...
It's a very human story. It has everything in it. You're going to laugh in it, and there's some, there's a fight scene you're going to see. It's really ridiculous. And it was like when we watched, what's it called? Butch Cassidy and Sundance, where he's like fighting that big Indian guy, and like it's a bit of a funny fight. I mean, it's.
Should we show the fight? Because we do have that clip.
Let's do it. Okay. Anyways, it's pretty funny, and Cash is the comic relief. But
and who's that guy?
Oh yeah, the Tanawai Reed is The Rock's stunt double, and he is one of my oldest friends from Hawaii. We kind of grew up together when I was a teenager, and. We worked together, and basically I just called him up, and I was like, please help me, and he came in. I just thought it'd be funny to beat the shit out of my friend.
And didn't you?
It's a really funny scene, so.
It is a funny scene. It kind of goes back. The movie goes back and forth between.
Yeah, it gets serious. It gets really serious, and you're gonna cry a little bit unless you're a stone like you. No, I'm joking. But hopefully you'll cry a little bit, and you'll feel something, and hopefully you'll check out what's going on in the world, and hopefully bring some attention to what's happening to these women.
Now, I also want to talk about other things that you've done, and then we're going to circle back to your wife so we can watch that clip in a little bit. But let's talk a little bit how your success made making this movie possible or didn't. Did what happened with Game of Thrones kind of put a fire under this and allow you to make this movie, or were they disconnected?
I wouldn't say. I mean, Game of Thrones has definitely helped me with a lot of the fans and the business. I think a lot of people for a while didn't know I spoke English. I always say that I met one of my favorite SNL actors, and
so
he was like, I love you, and I'm like, I love you, and he's like, you fucking speak English, and I'm like, what? Yeah, dude. Oh man, no wonder I'm not getting hired for those.
Well,
roles.
that's the thing. Like with Jimmy, when you're on Jimmy Kimmel, I feel like you walk up. Because you and I have had dinner at Sundance, and we've had some beers, and like I got an idea of who you are, and you walk onto these things.
Oh, we've had a couple beers for that.
We had a lot of fun. So this is the thing. It's that people don't know also some things about your background. One, you were born in Hawaii, right? But then you were raised in Madison County, as in the bridges of Madison County.
Right next, one county over. One county over. I was raised in Iowa my whole life.
Yeah,
Like,
your whole life.
Like literally, like graduated like maybe 75 kids.
Right.
Like, Iowa, white, Iowa.
Yeah. So you basically, on some level, are a Midwesterner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm through and through. You know what I mean? I love it, and I have the aloha spirit from Hawaii. But they're both very similar. They don't want to leave their island or their land, and they're very comfortable where they're at.
Which is also a theme of this. It's also a theme of this movie. It's also a theme of the Sundance Channel TV show Red Road. That like not wanting to leave your land. But I think that what happens is that people don't understand where you're coming from then.
I'm just misunderstood. You know?
Think, yeah.
I smile. I laugh.
I know.
I don't rape people and kill people. Just playing the character.
I just play one on TV.
Yeah. No, it helped making Road to Paloma. Obviously, you need to have a bit of a name to help you. But I mean, we shot this whole movie ended up being $600,000 in the end. Like it was $250 just to shoot the movie in a can. The Canon 5D, probably some of you have it here. That camera right there that she's shooting me with, we shot that whole movie on a Canon 5D. That's my cinematographer Brian and my producing partner. Brian shot that whole film.
There he is.
And he held composition and handheld and pulled focus. Nothing was on sticks at all. He's a bit of a genius. So don't tell him that.
You just did.
But. We didn't get a lot of money for it, but it was a passion project, and it's a hard sell, But it was about, we did it with 7 people. We just took the money and put it all into the film. We lived in the dirt. We slept in tents. We edited out of my Airstream. Like, we did it all. I hired my friends. They gave me $100,000, and they didn't believe that we could do it. And we went out and shot half the movie, edited it, showed it to them, and they're like, all right, and they gave us the rest. So it's very unconventional in making independent movies, but I mean, hopefully, at the root of it, it's storytelling. And, you write a good story, you get actors that come to it, actors get you money, money gets you your fucking film. 1, 2, 3, buckle my shoe, whatever.
There you go.
It's that easy.
Ba-bum. Yeah. And where did WWE come in? And those guys?
In my contract, we submitted to Sundance, and after we did get into Sundance, it was about a 2-hour cut. I definitely learned a lot, and we cut it down to about an hour and a half. With that, they wanted their money back and recouped, so they just took it to distribution companies. Anchor Bay fell in love with it, and they wanted to do something with WWE because they have a great platform for just all of their fans, and it was great publicity. So, obviously when you buy a film, you've got to have publicity so people know about it. So those two partnered up, and it was always interesting because it's an art house film. But it has the action, it has the adventure, but it also has a heartfelt story. So I think WWE, what really appealed to them is it's a great film. It has all those qualities, but also has a really good story to it, which some of theirs may not, and they really, really like that. So I think that's kind of what appealed to them.
What did you learn? Now, was this the first thing you directed? Had you done anything before, you and Brian?
Yeah, we shot a couple shorts. Yeah, we shot a couple shorts to get ready for. We did a black and white short that we almost finished it, and then we did one that we submitted that was a bit of a period piece, and we tested that, and then.
What didn't work, what does?
Everything works. We're amazing. What are you talking about?
That's no fun. Haven't they told you that when you're doing storytelling, you have to find the weaknesses of your hero to, make
I
it
didn't
seem
go
like
to that class. I was drunk. That's why it didn't work. No.
He's perfect. Do you want to talk about working with your wife? When did she come into this?
She's so difficult. Women. Nah, I'm joking. It's amazing. It was a dream come true. Robert and I wanted her to work with me, and it was a dream come true. And it was actually.
Why was it a dream come true? I mean,
she's my dream woman.
She's on the other side of the bed. Honey, come on, we're making this movie. How hard?
I mean, I just wanted. It's kind of different because that's not us up there. Even though it feels like that, that's not us. You know what I mean? And we have our own thing, and that's the thing that I wanted to protect is my family, and not just like whore that out, if you will. It was really about I wanted to have a character that I fell in love with instantly on screen. I had to recreate the first time we met, or something of that, and then have to leave her. That's very hard to do. I mean, to literally be awestruck by someone, and then like it's very flirtatious, and there's a scene in there like it's the first time I've ever been bashful. I don't normally say that word.
You are bashful in that.
And then
you are shy.
I'm like, literally, she gets me in it, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like, kind of, I smile, and she just cracks my soul open, and I'm like, I haven't smiled as much in a long time, and it's true. He hasn't talked to anyone. He's never loved. I mean, he's never felt that way in a very long time, and in any other circumstance, they would be together with babies. You know what I mean? But in the way we make the love scene is like they don't touch. And then here's Cash, who gets everything he wants to, and he's at the strip club. He gets all tits and ass. He can have whatever he wants. And here's her and I, and just his chemistry. And you think they do something, but they don't. But your mind makes, that's why we wanted to kind of make it like that. You're not going to see that until you watch the movie, but roll the clip. Boy, it gets steamy and hot. I just live a mile up the road. That's actually the line I said to her when I first met her.
Yeah.
How's that? I didn't even really think about that till now. Yeah, I was living in a hotel.
Yeah.
I was a bit of a wanderer. So I'm living in this hotel, and I met her at this club, and I actually went, when we were done and we were talking that night, I was like, do you mind giving me a ride up? I just live up in this hotel. And she went to all our friends, like, yo, is this guy a murderer? Is he cool? Or whatever. And they're like, no, he's great. And we had mutual friends, like, no, he's totally fine, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, we went up to the hotel, and there's a diner there, and we just had Gits.
Huh?
I'm gonna go get my friend. I'll be right back. Guinness and grits, and we just like enjoyed a little conversation, and that's how. But I was like, you mind if I get a ride? I just thought of that as we watched it. I'm sorry. I've seen it 100 times. I didn't even know that.
Now, when you were doing that scene, was she easy to direct, or was it hard to direct her? Did she want to direct you?
No, she's amazing. No, she's super effortless. It was kind of cute. I actually made her shy right there too. It's great because you get to be around your loved one, and you get to see how funny they are and how naturally and calm they are. And then when they get on the screen, there's things that are changed, and you just become this character. But she's brilliant in it. She's phenomenal. She lights up the screen. So.
Were the kids around when you were making it?
They were there on that one. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you join the circus, you bring your family with you. So I mean.
So what can you tell us about your future? You're doing this. Is Red Road? Is there another?
Red Road season 2. I'm directing some commercials right now, which is fantastic. I'm directing for Carhartt. We finished our 2 movies that we're going to hopefully be doing in the next 5 years. We got 2
that you've written.
Coming up. Yeah, we've written.
What's the one, Wolves? Is that
Wolves will be coming out in October. I mean, it's another independent. You never know. There's a couple coming out that they're just independent. So I mean, I'm hoping that comes out around Halloween. I mean, it's a werewolf movie, so just imagine Drogo and a lot of fur.
I imagine it.
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
Yeah. I wanted to do, 5 hours the prosthetics would be like, and it's hell. So I don't want to do it anymore, but I did it.
I want to know more about Game of Thrones. You told me a great story that one night that you shot your section in Ireland.
Ireland and Malta and Gozo. Yeah.
Okay, but that the first year when no one knew about Game of Thrones, and you'd go to the pub.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Please tell me that story.
I'm a big fan of the Guinness, and so I'm in.
Gits. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Guinness and grits, Gits.
Yeah. Okay. Gits, whatever you call them. Yeah. Motherland. So I'm at the pub, and at the time, my beard wasn't long enough right here, so they glued this part on, but it was my mustache, and then it wasn't long enough here, so I just, obviously, I don't have a magic wand, I can't make it grow fast, so we had to put it on every morning, but I'd have this amazing, porn mustache.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like and I didn't want to walk around with just a mustache, so I had like this little piece of hair right here. And, I'd always have the mascara. I wanted to have the eyeshadow because when I was studying and using it for ideas, I was studying nomads and things like that. And so that's why, they're in the desert. I wanted to paint the black around his eyes. But it's very hard, as you ladies know, to remove all that shit from your eyes. And, my hair is kind of, wavy and long and tousled and shit like that. And I have an interesting style of clothing for Ireland. And there's there's very white there. So I'd walk the streets in my mascara and my porn mustache, looking like a guy. It's like a drag queen.
You're 6 foot.
Maybe it was like a 6'5" drag queen. And everyone liked me, and we just hang out. But they were always just kind of like, You know, like they had no
What
idea
planet?
until I came back the second season. I'm like, that's why you look the way you did. I'm like, yeah. And then, you know, everything was cool, but I'd get a lot of weird looks.
It changed your life. It's kind of sad. I find it kind of sad that that you can't come back to that show.
Who says I can't come back?
Yeah, but there's a.
Well, I'm not going to release it here
Oh,
at
no.
the Apple. I mean, exclusive.
Yeah.
Here with Thelma at Apple.
That would be great.
Drogo comes back.
We loved him. And
Yeah, I know, but it's gonna get better. It's just so amazing. Season 4, I'm a huge fan. I mean, if for everyone's fans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how great was Season 4?
Oh my
amazing.
God. Tyrion at the end
Oh.
when he's giving his speech, when he can't keep his mouth shut, but that's who he is.
Joffrey's death. Yeah.
Thank God.
He's the sweetest kid in the world.
Yeah.
That's one of the things where you're like, oh my God, he's
Because you just
super smart.
hate him.
I know, but he literally is the polar opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did he have fun? Do you think just being bad?
You didn't have too many scenes with him.
I know you had none.
I think if Joffrey and
You
Drogo
and
had a
Sean
scene
Bean.
together, I'd probably
Yeah.
just eat him.
Yeah, you just eat him.
Something
Throw
like
out the
that.
bones. You and Sean Bean, no scenes together. You know, what can you do? That's the George R.R. Martin. Let's kill people. That's, you fall in love and then, what can you do?
Damn you, George Martin.
No. I love that show.
Mm-hmm.
That is my Star Wars. Game of Thrones. I can't,
Me too.
I've got to say the only one that
I
I
tell
get
you what,
fan
you know how I
on.
came up with Drogo's dialogue? Like
His Dothraki
it's kind
thing?
of, I ripped a little bit off from Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
It's like, Chewbacca. It's like, man.
Awesome.
So like, not too far off from Chewbacca. A little bit of Fozzie Bear, like waka waka. Like there's a little bit of that in there. Waka waka.
We got it. Well, that's a good place to seg, and we'll start taking some questions.
And that's how Drogo's born.
and thus he was born.
How was the transition from being an actor to a director?
I think it's absolutely wonderful they're both wonderful, but I really love directing. Acting sometimes is I'm not as fulfilled. I think with Drogo I was extremely fulfilled, but there's a lot of things you do, you do your best and then it leaves and it's left for many people to make it better or worse. And I really love directing because it's everything from wardrobe, locations, casting, everything it's your painting. It's a collaboration, but generally speaking, it's yours. And so you're going to be judged by it, you're loved by it, hated by it, but it's yours. With the acting thing, it's always like, it was the director's fault, it was the writer's fault. Blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be my fault. If this sucks, I apologize, I'll be better on the next one. But, you do your best. It's the first one, and hopefully you do a good job. It's a good movie. It's a human movie.
What about the soundtrack before the next question?
Oh, yeah, the soundtrack is effing amazing.
Awesome.
Yes, it is. It's actually all my friends. If you're in LA, we would love to have you. If anyone's going to be there, we're having a soundtrack release party, and everyone's invited. And but it's all our friends. Like when we originally submitted this, we had 2 Dead Weather, 2 Tom Waits, CCR, Rolling Stones, Johnny Cash, and they all were approved for festival license. So they had to hear it and listen to it. Like at one point, they were like, Mick's manager called back and like, yeah, Mick and Keith liked it, what you did with the channel. We're like, welcome to Keith Richard Watch My Movie! And he was like freaking out, and Tom Waits liked the scenes, and then we had to, no one wanted to invest and put that any further, so it was up to us to reinvent all this music. So it's all of my friends. The last song in it is my nanny, and she's actually in the bathroom, and she's singing the song, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely so heartfelt, and it's called When I Go, and really check it out. And Shovels and Rope, if you haven't heard of them, you should. You should be ashamed of yourself. But they're really phenomenal. It's phenomenal music. Great
And
human
that's
music.
downloadable too on iTunes.
It is, yeah. It's out on iTunes.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, beautiful.
How did you get the film to look that way? It looks like you shot it through a nylon stocking.
That's very, 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 very smart. There's some scenes that we did. You can do that. You shoot through the nylon stocking. It's very good. Hot damn. You know what? I would like to give all the credit to Brian Mendoza, who shot it. He's he is a wizard, and there's just he's worked very hard and mastered that camera, and he's just when we got into E-film, like no one had ever seen anything shot like that on a 5D. So I wish I could go like, it's all me. You know what I mean? But it's really Brian is an amazing cinematographer, and so that's the other thing we really wanted to do with this was launch Robert Molahan, who wrote it and is the star with me. He's phenomenal in it. He's a theater actor, and he's done some TV, but I really wanted to do a movie with him and show his talent because he's just a phenomenal actor and is a playwright. So I was like, dude, let's write this. We'll make this. And Brian, who's been following me around since almost before Conan days and Game of Thrones, and we've just been shooting shorts and stuff and starting Pride of Gypsies together and trying to make this company where we could shoot art and find a collective of other artists because we know so many talented actors, directors, artists that people don't get to see. And I just made a band of brothers and sisters, and we want to show those talents. So.
Hi, Jason. Where did you study acting, and what was your first big break?
Mostly in the bars, and then no. Sorry. I studied with the one that really sunk in with me was with Arthur Mendoza, and he was in L.A. He was with I'm spacing it. Adler, Stella Adler. I'm like, oh my god. Hold on a second. Stella Adler, who trained Marlon Brando and all that. So I mean, like, it was her technique. That's who I studied with. And what was the second question?
What was your first big break?
First big break? I don't like to say that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
It's the B word. We don't
It's the B word.
We don't say the B word anymore. But no, I'm joking. I started on Baywatch. It's actually very funny. I was going to college, and I went to go get to know my father better in Hawaii. TV show showed up. I was folding T-shirts for $60 an hour. I went to meet hot chicks with my cousins, and we had to make up some bullshit like we were actors or models, and we're like, oh yeah, I do Louis Vuitton and Gucci, and they're like, oh yeah, you model? I'm like, oh yeah. And so then I became a model. And then I went in and just basically bullshit my way in and got some numbers, and then a month later of auditions, I ended up getting the lead role. And so I didn't go back to college in Colorado. I ended up running around half naked with women and at 19, so that wasn't too bad. And then I came back to LA, and it was
Your life has been a curse. It's been hard.
It was after that. It was extremely. It took me about 4 years to get an agent, just for anyone to take me seriously. So Baywatch really helped me because it gave me my passion for acting, and it really hurt me because no one would take me seriously. And you kind of were also judged as that, and I'm like the last thing of that. I mean, I normally don't like wearing clothes, but the other part of like the whole
You were
Baywatch
objectified.
thing, yeah. Yeah, I just became an object.
I know. It's sad.
Can you talk about your experiences with the Native Americans that were involved with the film and what you learned and what they taught you about their experience?
We have so many beautiful things that didn't end up in the movie. I wanted it to, but some people didn't find it interesting, which is a really big bummer having collaboration. But we did honor everything from there's a game they play called Shinny, which is basically like kill each other in the sand with a stick. It's called Shinny, and there's a ball this big. It's the same color as the sand, and you run around and you play field hockey in sand and hit each other in the shins. And they were like, "You're gonna come play with us?" I'm like, "Shit, Brian, all right." I grew up playing hockey, and I got this. And so we got in there, and we're bumping around and hitting each other, and you're getting whacked. There's no pads. You have a stick, and you just hit people with a stick. And there's a ball in there somewhere. And we played Shinny, and it was phenomenal. We did the pottery that was originally some of the artifacts that we actually redid for the piece. That's with me and my dad. We do that to honor my mother.
There's a ceremony with smoke.
Yeah, there's a little ceremony that we do. And then the language, which is really a dying language. There's not too many people that know it. There's the lady who plays my grandmother in it. She speaks it. And so we learned the language. And then what else did we do? We shot on the reservation. We really lived there, and we shot in a lot of the locations. Then like all the guys, the native guys, those are all Ahamakav and the Mojave. So it was really just they let us in with open arms because I am a native. I'm Kanaka Maoli. We're the same, so like I'm just over the big pond. But I'm Native the same way I'm a Native American. Hawaii is America, and it's all the same thing. And so became great friends with a lot of them, and they really loved it. I wish there was more that we had, but it's that thing where you fight the good fight. You fight
But
as
there's
hard
a
as
lot.
you can.
I mean, it integrates well into the movie.
It does. I just know what is missing, and that's
Yeah.
the thing that's just sad. There's those babies you have to kill too.
Oops. Kill your darlings.
Yes.
As an actor, you work with a variety of directors, writers, and producers. Does that, in a sense, help you prep you so that in the future you can do your own stuff like you did with Road to Paloma?
Absolutely. I think, one of my greatest teachers was working on Stargate Atlantis. I was on Stargate for 4 years. Most people don't know that, but I mean, that was 22 episodes a season, 9 months of your life. They're moving equipment. You just know the business. It becomes like college, and that's where you really learn all that stuff and how to move equipment efficiently and quick. But, you're born with composition and an eye. I mean, you have to train that, and it's your artistic stamp is what defines you as an artist. But as far as all the general things, yeah, that helps. And also, I love when on Game of Thrones, we had phenomenal directors, and I'd ask them all kinds of questions, and they love that too. I mean, when they have time for it. But it's always great sharing with other artists. You know what I mean? Everyone has their own technique, so it's really cool to talk about that.
Hi, Jason, because everyone else says that. Coming off a series like Game of Thrones, where making crown for a king is a regular occurrence, the crimes that drive Wolf's, the narrative and the story, you chose to not portray on screen. Can you tell us about that choice?
Yeah, actually, the extended trailer that you can see, we actually show it. And it's the moment the whole movie originally opened with him napping the knife. So he's napping this rock in front of his father's fire, and he's shaven. And he gets all suited up, and he rides out of the reservation. He's got this handkerchief over his face. And he goes to the guy's house. You don't know who the guy is. And he's just in his house, and the motorcycle rolls up. Guy goes to the door, comes outside, and the motorcycle's just running with the shoes just sitting there. And the motorcycle dies because he obviously turned off the gas. And he's outside. He's got the gun. He knows it's obviously me. And I'm kind of playing shadow games with him. He goes back in his house, opens a couple doors. Last door he opens, and you just hear these bare feet on the wooden floor just creak and move because I'm obviously a large human. And he turns around, and he's just like, I'm painted in full up in Mojave paint. And in the story it says I scalp him, and he runs out of the house, and I literally torment him. I smash every bone in his body, from his crown or from his chest to his sternum, or from his sternum to his toes or whatever.
Right.
And it
Shake them like maracas. What's the line?
Yeah, well, because there was an article about a little girl. This is horrible, but there's a little girl who got raped and beaten, and it said her head looked like a bag of ice. And when I heard that, I was like, I have to put that in the movie because it's so messed up that someone could do that to a little girl. And so we put that in there to this guy. And I wanted to do something I don't want to see it. It's like Hitchcock. You don't see anything. It's fucking scared. And it's not that this is a kind of movie, but I wanted to craft it in a way where it slowly unfolded and you didn't just hear it and then here's on the run. And I didn't want to make a chase movie, and I wanted to see the audience to slowly, and sometimes we had to put more in, and some people are like, that's great. And sometimes you take some out and they're like, I don't know what's going on. So it's just finding the balance of some people are, get it, and some people don't. And then you're like, eh. So the reason why we took it out at the beginning of the movie, because it really grabbed everyone, because right when I go to kill him, I wake up and I'm bearded, and it's the opening of the movie, and I'm in this field, and it's supposed to symbolize 6 months later. And then you see him working out there, and it's just, he's been alone for 6 months, and he's trying to get by, and people are like, I'm so confused. Is he burying him? What's going on? Why is he bearded now? And then it's like, do I really have to put 6 months? I was like, and what it did is I wanted it to be slow opening, and what it did is it set the tone too high, and then it just came down, and people didn't like that he was just alone. It just got everyone revved the wrong way.
Right.
And we just removed it, and we released it, and now it's it's on the DVD special. It's called The Hunt, and it's out right now for you to watch it. But it set the tone wrong, and so.
I want to thank you very, 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 very much. And also say the movie is available even as we speak on iTunes. So go home and watch this kick-ass 70s style great movie with great performances, great director, great co-writing, great cinematography.
He told me about these. he had went to a Democratic convention, and he'd heard about the rapes that were happening on the Native American reservations, and that there's a loophole where a non-native can commit a violent act, crime, predominantly rape. And in 2011, when we wrote this piece, it was 86% were non-natives that were reported rapes. That's reported. And those cases get tossed out because it has to go to federal court. And tribal law can't prosecute them. So it's a bit of a loophole for these sick, demented people. And I just thought, being a father and a husband and a son and a grandson, if anyone messed with my mother or my wife or my kids, I'm like, it's over for you. You know what I mean? And like, the law didn't take care of it. I mean, what would we do? Predominantly, most men would do that. Most people would do that. But with that, you're going to pay the repercussion. You're going to go to jail. You're going to be on the run, which we find the character at the very beginning on the run, and you're going to die. And I wanted to make a movie that wasn't about revenge or about the act of doing it.
Right.
It was more of...
It's done. The deed is done before this even starts.
Yeah, it's 6 months later, and it's really about a man saying goodbye to his life. And by doing this choice, he's really doling out his soul. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you, Apple, for putting it on iTunes.
How great is that?
It's so amazing.
I want to talk to you, watching this movie, which, by the way, I love. It's, to me, you've talked about it being like Easy Rider. You've talked about it being like a road movie. It also feels to me like Billy Jack. It has that kind of earthy, revenge, ripped out of Hollywood. Hollywood does not exist for this movie. Tell me a little bit about what was in your head when you started out.
The big inspiration for doing this, there's a couple things. One, I was really inspired. I love road movies. I love the road. Easy Rider is definitely one, but 5 Easy Pieces, if you've seen it, it's a Jack Nicholson film in the 70s.
That's great. When he goes to the diner.
Yeah, that's one of the best scenes, man.
Has everybody seen
Have
5
you seen
Easy
5
Pieces?
Easy Pieces?
Pull it back.
Yep. So anyways, it's phenomenal. And the really big inspiration for doing this was the subject matter.
The story itself.
Yeah, and...
Someone brought it to you, right?
Yeah, actually, Robert Mollahan, he's my co-star, and he's the co-writer, one of them, and he...
Show the fight? Because we do have that clip.
Let's do it. Anyways, it's pretty funny, and Cash is the comic relief. But
and who's that guy?
Oh yeah, the
who lays him out?
Tanawai Reed is The Rock's stunt double, and he is one of my oldest friends from Hawaii. We kind of grew up together when I was a teenager, and we worked together. And basically, I just called him up, and I was like, "Please help me," and he came in. I just thought it'd be funny to beat the shit out of my friend.
And didn't you?
It's a really funny scene, so.
It is a funny scene. It kind of goes back. The movie goes back and forth between.
Yeah, it gets serious. It gets really serious, and you're gonna cry a little bit unless you're
spiritual.
A stone like you. No, I'm joking. But hopefully you'll cry a little bit, and you'll feel something, and hopefully you'll check out what's going on in the world, and hopefully bring some attention to what's happening to these women.
Now, I also want to talk about other things that you've done, and then we're going to circle back to your wife so we can watch that clip in a little bit. But let's talk a little bit how your success made making this movie possible or didn't. Did what happened with Game of Thrones kind of put a fire under this and allow...
On this road to redemption, really. And I wanted to play with the themes of like all the people that inspire you or who have inspired your parents to filmmakers to artists to painters, music. They make up you. And that's what hangs in the air when when you're gone. I wanted to see this man, how big he loves and the parts of his soul that he's giving away, and how he lives on through other people. And that was one of the themes I wanted to do too. So it's a little comedy, a little drama.
It's heavy and
rock
funny.
And roll. There's lots of hair.
There's a lot of hair. There is a lot of hair in this, and there's even a pretty sexy scene where you.
Yeah, not too bad.
Get rid of your hair, I was going to say.
Come on, honey. Help me sell this fucker. No.
No. Well, that's one side to it. Got to have sex. So you had, with Cash, he had like...
It's a very human story. It has everything in it.
Yeah.
You're going to laugh in it, and there's some, there's a fight scene you're going to see. It's really ridiculous. And it was like when we watched, what's it called? Butch Cassidy and Sundance, where he's like fighting that big Indian guy. And
Right.
like, it's a bit of a funny fight. I mean, it's...
Should we show you to make this movie, or were they disconnected?
I wouldn't say. I mean, Game of Thrones has definitely helped me with a lot of the fans and the business. I think a lot of people for a while didn't know I spoke English. I always say that I met one of my favorite SNL
I think
actors,
it's
and
so
he was
weird.
like, I love you, and I'm like, I love you, and he's like, you fucking speak English, and I'm like, what? Yeah,
I
dude. Oh man, no wonder I'm not getting hired for those
Well,
roles.
that's the thing, like with Jimmy, when you're on Jimmy Kimmel, I feel like you walk up, because you and I have had dinner at Sundance and we've had some beers, and like I got an idea of who you are, and you walk onto these things.
Oh, we've had a couple beers for that.
We had a lot of fun. So this is the thing, it's that people don't know also some things about your background. One, you were born in Hawaii, right? But then you were raised in Madison County, as in the bridges of Madison County.
Right next, one county
Kind of.
over. One county over. I was raised in Iowa, my whole
Okay.
life.
Yeah, your whole
Like
life.
literally, like graduated like maybe 75 kids.
Right.
Iowa, white, Iowa.
Yeah. So you basically, on some level,